from a deleted murderous opening scene and an alternate ending, to an extended showdown between Scarlet Witch and Professor X, Multiverse of Madness was almost an incredibly different movie. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers, I'm Jan, and these are the deleted scenes and alternate ending you never got to see in Doctor Strange 2. Spoilers of course, so take care. Marvel's Multiverse of Madness had a pretty chaotic production, from original director Scott Derrickson quitting over creative differences to pandemic-related problems and new director Sam Raimi having to begin shooting before the script was finalised. In fact, they didn't even have an ending to the story until halfway through filming, and when the movie's release date was flipped to come after Spider-Man No Way Home and WandaVision instead of before, as had been the plan, numerous other changes had to be made. Of course, these kind of situations are part and parcel of movie making and can lead to fantastically enjoyable movies, as well as critically derided ones. But what's the case for Doctor Strange? Well, according to Raimi, his first cut of the movie was around 2 hours and 40 minutes, over 30 minutes longer than the final version, and we can figure out some of what was cut from the final film via missing scenes from the trailers and early plot leaks. Some of these leaks were fairly accurate when compared to the end movie, so what's missing would be an indicator of changes made due to reshoots, as well as cuts made after feedback from test screenings. One big change made was to the opening of the movie, which in the leaked plot had Mordo hunting Wanda in a fiery burned forest with a magical bow. It seems he tracked her down to a cabin where she was living, perhaps the one we see her in at the end of WandaVision. Mordo tried to kill her with magic arrows but failed, and instead she ended up killing him, chopping off his head. This horror-filled scene set around a cabin in the woods certainly feels fitting for a Sam Raimi film, given his iconic Evil Dead movies. And it would have followed up on Mordo's story from the end of the first Doctor Strange movie, where he turned against Stephen and later tracked down Pangborn and took away his powers.
Why are you doing this? Because I see at long last what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers.
The cut scene of Mordo hunting Wanda would have, in a way, paid off this cliffhanger from the first movie, but it seems Marvel decided instead that they want to keep that Mordo alive so he can return in a future Doctor Strange film and get a proper conclusion to his evil Mordo story set up at the end of the original film. Another possibility is that the deleted scene might have felt too similar to the opening scene of the first Doctor Strange movie, where the villain Caecilius and his zealots decapitated a librarian at the Kamar Taj. Plus, not revealing Wanda as a villain right away in the opening scene keeps alive a bit of the mystery of who's behind the interdimensional monster attacks on America Chavez a little longer. Another big change to the movie was made during reshoots when, according to The Hollywood Reporter, inspired by Spider-Man No Way Home, Marvel decided to have more fun with the multiverse by adding more cameos and characters. And it looks like this changed the Illuminati lineup in comparison to what was planned in the original script. In the earlier version, Professor X, Captain Carter, Captain Marvel were part of the team. However, there wasn't any Mr. Fantastic or Black Bolt, so it seems these were later additions and that they replaced Balder the Brave, who was also originally going to be a member of the Illuminati. In the comics, Balder is an Asgardian and Thor's half-brother, and there were rumours he was going to be played by Raimi regular Bruce Campbell, who also cameoed in all 3 of Raimi's Spider-Man movies. However, Campbell ended up with the part of Pizza Popper, the street food vendor who complains about not getting paid and who Strange casts a spell on to keep hitting himself, in a nod to Campbell's famous Evil Dead character.
Groovy.
It might have been interesting to see Strange meet Thor's half-brother, especially after the Sorcerer's previous interaction with Thor and Loki in Ragnarok. Wanda's massacre of the Illuminati, including how she took out Charles Xavier, was a huge moment in the movie. However, in the original plot, Wanda had an extended confrontation with Professor X, where he floated up to her in his hover chair, as we can see in this previous concept art. His levitating chair would have been a reference to Professor X's hover chair from the 90s X-Men animated TV show, and would have fit nicely with the theme tune from the series, which plays when Charles first arrives in the film. The ending of Multiverse of Madness also had numerous significant changes compared to the original plot. The brutal battle at Kamar Taj, where Scarlet Witch wiped out almost everyone, came towards the end rather than at the beginning of the movie, and there was also going to be a scene of Rintrah giving a speech in praise of Wong. More significant though is that originally, after Wanda decided to destroy the Darkhold castle and bury herself under rock, we would have then got a shot where we actually see her in the rubble. In the final movie, the scene ends instead on a wide shot of the collapsing castle and mountain, and you can see a little burst of red energy in the crumbling rock. I think this could be read two ways, as either Wanda making a protective bubble for herself so she can survive, or as a final burst of her magic as she dies. I think it's pretty much guaranteed that Elizabeth Olsen will be back, but seeing her in the rubble at the end might have implied more strongly that she's still alive, similar perhaps to the end of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where we see Deadpool, also the villain of that story, as his arm crawls out from under a pile of rubble and his eyes open. Of course, if this Wanda is dead, we could still see Olsen return as a Wanda variant from a different universe. Would you like to see Scarlet Witch back? Comment with your thoughts and theories below. A cool surprise in the mid-credits scene is when Charlize Theron makes her MCU debut as Clea to request help from Doctor Strange about an incursion in another dimension. There had been some reports and fan speculation that Rachel McAdams, who plays Christine Palmer, was going to end up cast as Clea as well. In fact, since the film's release, McAdams has revealed that she was initially told she'd be playing 3 versions of her character. However, in the final movie, she played just 2 versions of Christine, one in the regular main universe and one in the 838 universe, who is a scientist working for the Illuminati. There are some interesting moments in the trailers and promo materials of footage that didn't make it into the final film. There seems to be an extended or alternate version of Stephen meeting Sinister Strange, as we never got this dialogue in the final movie.
Things just got out of hand.
Now, this could be from a scene that was later reshot, or perhaps from a longer version where Sinister Strange was explaining how his use of Darkhold magic had gone wrong. Or it might even have been a reference to the actions of Strange Supreme from the animated What If series, who became corrupted and destroyed his own universe. In fact, the line might have actually been removed to avoid confusing fans, as some already thought that Sinister Strange was the same character as the animated Strange Supreme, until that is Benedict Cumberbatch recently debunked the theory. And if you're enjoying these rejected scenes so far, do hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos like this. There's a short scene teased in the trailers of Wong and Strange seemingly discussing the consequences perhaps of Doctor Strange's actions in Spider-Man No Way Home.
I did what I had to do to protect our world.
You cannot control everything, Strange.
From the backdrop, it looks like this probably took place in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it feels like it was likely cut due to being a bit of exposition that the audience didn't need. Interestingly, Raimi has said that a lot of what they learn from test screenings is not just what audiences don't understand about a movie or what they like, but also what the audience already knows and doesn't need or want explaining again, or things they can figure out themselves without further explanation, which helps keep the story tighter. And there was a creepy shot teased in the trailer of a close-up of a crow. We don't have much context of where this came in the original cut, but given the reddish backdrop, it's probably a Wanda-focused scene. Perhaps a deleted opening scene where Mordo is tracking her down, or when Strange visits Wanda for the first time and she reveals the desolate red orchard. Now, we know Deadpool will be coming to the MCU at some point, and fans are waiting on a confirmed date for when the Merc with a Mouth will get his next movie. However, there were a stack of rumours that he was going to appear in a Multiverse of Madness post-credit scene, and some fans even believed they could see Deadpool in a shard of glass on a poster for the film. One purported leak correctly predicted Clea's appearance in the mid-credits, though some of the details around it weren't quite so accurate. But it also stated that Deadpool, Cable, Domino and Vanessa were in a post-credit scene where they turned up at the Illuminati Center to discover the carnage unleashed by Wanda. Supposedly, Deadpool would have cracked a few jokes about the dead members and Krasinski's best-known role in the TV series The Office, and then broken the fourth wall with a comment about how Patrick Stewart's Professor X was dead yet yet again, referencing the numerous times Charles has previously died in Fox's X-Men movies. Whether this post-credit scene was actually on the cards or more like a wild rumour, I'll leave up to you. So movie lovers, do you wish any of these deleted scenes had been in the final movie? Let me know below. Next, tap left for more awesome Marvel deleted scenes and alternate endings, like how Black Widow almost came back from the dead at the end of her solo movie. Thanks for enjoying this movie with me, and hope you have a marvellous movie-loving week. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!